The biggest lesson is that crisis doesn't build your culture; it reveals it.
Good to give a brief intro about your path and professional journey.
I spent over 2 decades working with amazing teams that make data not just useful but meaningful.
I will start with leadership. So,
In leadership, is less about having answers for all the questions. It's more about
try out something out because everybody is trying to drive more business outcomes. So, with Agentic AI in place,
Agentic AI is not just about replacing people. It's primarily about giving us better partners so that we can focus on uniquely human strengths like empathy, creativity, and nuanced judgment. Right? That's where I feel where we can leverage that.
looking at the model explainability and maintenance and how we are able to actually understand what's happening behind. Right, it's not a black box anymore.
Yeah. That's my perspective has evolved to always ask, can this AI be trusted? That's where responsible AI means knowing when not to implement, right? No matter what the hype is. So being responsible is more important rather than feeling a FOMO.
One AI tool or tech you can't live without right now.
One AI tool. It's
How do you handle program fails?
so one of the key projects I could remember is that there was a large data migration initiative, right? That ran into a major roadblock very late in the game. It was a very tough call. Should we just go ahead or what do we do and things like that? We took a step back and we said, you know what?
Okay, so now that I've spent so many years in technology industry, how do I touch lives through that?
I'm so connected to that healthcare where data directly impacts lives, right?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Caffélôgue with Naga. I'm your host Naga and I'm extremely happy to welcome our guest today. We are diving into leadership, transformation and AI with someone who has seen it all. From insurance to healthcare, from old school data warehousing to the GenAI era, who is not only a seasoned leader, but also a dear friend I have known for over 20 years. We've had the privilege of working together, and I've personally learned so much from him, especially about leadership, building people-first cultures, and navigating complex business transformations. Over the years, he has led large global teams and delivered multiple digital transformation and analytics programs across industries. Whether heading verticals or leading as a practice head, he has consistently driven impact through digital and AI innovation. During his time in the insurance industry, he was at the forefront of advancing AI and analytics for global clients, helping move AI from pilot projects to enterprise-scale solutions with measurable business value. With a strong foundation in insurance and an impressive track record working with top-tier organizations, he now brings that same clarity and strategic rigor to healthcare. Currently leading data architecture, product strategy, quality and AI convergence for one of the largest health systems in the US. It's a real honor to welcome someone I deeply respect and admire. Without further ado, let's welcome Gopal to our show.
Great. So thank you so much, Gopal, for joining today in Caffélôgue with Naga, and I'm really happy and privileged to have you and bring you to this forum. So I mean, I think it's more nostalgia for me. Starting to work with you, and then now I wanted to we are having this conversation after a long time, but while we've been talking about it for a while and we keep in touch, but something like this I wanted to definitely do with you, being a leader in the industry. So I think I'm very, very happy and extremely privileged to have you in my show. Welcome, Gopal. Go ahead.
Sure, the feeling is mutual, Naga. So this just feels like a reunion, right?
Yes.
We've known each other since Systech days, and then at Wipro again.
Yes.
It's been amazing to watch you grow, and then I think this chat that we are having today is a mix of reflection, definitely a few good stories, and hopefully this will be an inspiration for everyone who is listening in.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I mean, I have been inspired by the way you have led teams, and probably your knowledge, especially on the trainings on the data warehousing, or we go back to the traditional data warehousing days to now Gen AI. So I'm very, very curious, and also excited to have this conversation, and see how we can share our experience to the audience, right? So yeah. So before I go into any questions, right? I mean, I have a varied set of topics to talk about, because definitely leadership is one important aspect of your career. So you've led large teams, practice, verticals. So and definitely lot of inspiration to actually take from you, and bring and share to our audience. So I think one of the topic I've put together in the list is leadership. So I'll touch about that, and AI for sure. While you're championing a lot of AI initiatives, and been and earlier as well. So definitely a lot to talk about. But before that, I want everybody to know about your journey. Well, I know personally, but it's good to give a brief intro about your professional journey, and it's an inspiration to see
Sure.
somebody like you, and who have done and seen it all. So let's. I mean, we'll start with there, Gopal.
Sure, Naga. So I'm Gopal Swaminathan. I'm based in Phoenix, Arizona. I spent over 2 decades working with amazing teams that make data not just useful but meaningful. Whether it is consulting, where we both have worked together, or in insurance, or now in healthcare, what keeps me going is the chance to learn with others, build trust in what we deliver, and make sure that our work really helps people end of the day. So that's primarily has been my mantra throughout my journey, and that's what keeps me running as we go along.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's very crisp and precise. I love that. So I know you have so while consulting has been your forte, and I mean your specialization is, I think, something you really probably picked up on the journey, or is it like your focused effort to actually focus on a specific vertical like insurance, or on the banking and financial services as a vertical, or is it like it happened through years?
Yeah, it just happened over years, right? So it's not about being picky or choosy about the vertical that you work on. So
Yes.
you start getting those opportunities, and it's good in being specialized in a particular vertical, but also as we go along, it's a new opportunity to learn and then get to newer domains. So it's been a
Yeah.
great learning for me throughout my career.
I think it gives you a sense of domain knowledge, and over a period, you will develop the kind of understanding which probably somebody has worked in the industry, focusing on the business side of the world, because you're bridging the gap between the business and IT. So you probably would have developed that. So I think I mean. I know it's definitely very resonating at this point in time in the technology world, where everything is more of business oriented, and all the AI initiatives are driven by what is the return on investment or impact which the business is making, and you taking that experience and probably the strategic direction to move into healthcare. I know it's like risk to the another other area of uh, patient care, and probably touching lives. So it's 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 also a conscious decision in terms of trying to be more devoted towards how do we use technology for humankind, and how do we be part of such journey. So is it also something happened, or you also had that in mind? Okay, so now that I've spent so many years in technology industry, how do I touch lives through that? So is it also a conscious thought,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, no, no, it is. It's a conscious decision as well as right. It's about being prepared for a change, and then cannot just be in the same industry or vertical always. See, each industry has taught me something new, right? So consulting primarily helped me say shape my bias for structured problem solving, right, and rapid client empathy. So you have to listen, synthesize, and deliver value much faster, right? When I started focusing on more on insurance and moved there, right, it was I learned on patience and focus on risk, compliance, and then how sustainable execution is.
Right.
Then moving on to healthcare, it really deepened my sense of purpose, right? So there is always a calling which will make you say that certain times it will be forced from a job moment. Sometimes you will feel that there's a sense of purpose and there's a calling, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
where I am so connected to that healthcare, where data directly impacts lives, right?
True.
So our decisions, it carry real sequences for patients and caregivers. Through all of this, right, my style primarily it shifted more being hands-on problem solver to more of being a facilitator and a coach, and finally empowering teams to tackle ambiguity and then ask better questions, always tie their work to a bigger mission, and that's
Right.
where I am to right now.
Wonderful. I think I mean, I know of Gopal because, as you said, like we go a long way. So I've seen Gopal. I mean, a lot of times when you meet somebody first time, so you take an inspiration in terms of how. I mean, you're a very people person. So I've not seen any time. I don't know whether I've seen you getting irate or angry, or how, or even on a difficult situation, or probably you're doing something. So I think that's a good trait, and a lot of times difficult to see in leaders who are driving very difficult conversations or running a large team, right? So I mean, I mean, a lot of inspiration. I know the entire team would agree to you when we were part of your program and things like that. So uh, I will start with leadership. So the reason I started that point is also about I've seen you lead teams and programs, and you've been very active on the social platform as well, commenting about sharing a lot of information. So leadership journey or the mindset is something which has evolved, as you see from the time 2 or 3 decades earlier, how people were, and how the teams, the thought process in which the team comes is different than today's generation. So you have seen different generations over the years. So I wanted to get your perspective on the people management role. So what is important and what has helped you, right? So is people management, or probably people focused culture is, while AI, in the world of AI, how do you see that? So do you think we still have the people first approach is important in the world of AI, where there is a lot of chaos around replacement of jobs and job cuts, and probably replacing people with AI and all that, right? So the human first approach. So I mean, I wanted your perspective.
Yeah. So definitely, see, it is always a human first approach, right? Even if you take any AI technology, that is right. So the human in the loop is very important. And from your question about connecting more towards leadership, right? So one thing that I've learned over a period of time is in leadership is that is less about having answers for all the questions. It's more about creating an environment where people feel safe to
Right.
bring their best values to the table, right? And across over different generation, right? Each generation brings different perspectives and expectations, right? Whether it was in our early teams where 20 years ago the value was more towards stability and structure, right, compared to what we do today. The workforce that I expect today is about what's the purpose and what's the autonomy and is there flexibility, right? Well, there are things that have changed over a period of time, but one thing that have always remained constant is the trust. Main thing is that we need to build that trust throughout day in day out, with consistency and empathy, and providing transparency in everything that we do, right? That's my biggest learning, where good leaders should be listening deeply and then adapt constantly, and then doing that and being humble to learn from each other, from their teams, no matter what their title is, right? So
True.
that's what has always helped me, and that's what I feel will help.
Everyone, yes. I think you talked about having an environment which is very safe. So I think this concept of psychological safety. So how you create an environment where the team can still fail and then fail fast and learn and continue to do things without any fear. So which is very important. I think uh, uh, I know everyone who has worked with you would agree there on that front, right? You are a people person, and more, as you say, it's not about title and right, but probably even beyond. After somebody has worked with you for a long time, still remember you, or remember you and talk to you about how you have inspired in some ways. So that's a very very important. I think you have done a lot on that front. So I'm one such person. So
Thanks. It's actually, the feeling is always mutual, right? So we all learn from each other, and that's always great. I've always learned a lot of things from my team than from my leaders or my peers. So that's how it has been always for me throughout my journey.
right. Thanks, Gopal. Um, so you're saying that so the leadership is about more, even today's world, empathy and having a safe environment, and not about the designation and title, but it's about how you build a relationship and provide the trust. So that's fundamental for a leader to be successful, right? So
Yeah.
so from your experience of leading different teams, be it in consulting and even today when you're doing it in the captive based environment, right? So how you've adopted your leadership styles, because it may not be the same. So we cannot have the same style how we approached the team 10 years or 15, 20 years back to now. So now, as you said, the expectation is more, the team is very knowledgeable today. The kids are like very smart and they come prepared, and as you said, they are purpose driven. And they, so how you have adapted your style over the years, and any takeaways for the current generation, right? Let's say if I mean today Gen Z or the generations who's upcoming, right? They are, I would say, getting into more of a leadership role sooner. So, what is your, um, uh, I mean, probably, I would say, top three qualities which you want to have them to adapt, or probably learn, and how you have adapted to the situation. I mean, to the style of leadership across the years.
Yeah, sure. No, great question. Maybe I might have covered a little bit of this during my introduction or somewhere there. So, see, in my journey, right, each industry taught me something different, and then I was also my style of leadership and my maturity also was growing as we learn. So there are places where you also learn from mistakes, and then the
Right.
first step for solving something is to first accept that there's a problem, right? Acceptance was the main thing, where whenever I make mistakes, I take a step back and then first accept there was a problem, and then work towards solution, right? From as I said, from consulting days, it was more about, yeah, putting the customer in the center, right? It's always working with client empathy, and then it's really doing things in a rapid fashion, always focusing towards we have to solve this problem, right? So where our objective is to say that, hey, let's do some synthesis, and then let's deliver value faster. It's always fast and running that marathon, and
Mm.
running a fast race. And then eventually certain places like insurance taught me more about saying that, hey, it's not about always doing something fast. You have to make sure that, are we compliant, right? Will this really be good from a long run standpoint? How is the operational stability of things? So things like that helped me learn over a period of time. And then like I said, in healthcare, it is more about the purpose. As part of that, we look at, even when there's a problem, I think we'll be looking at saying that, okay, take a step back. If you want to solve a problem, is this going to impact lives, right? Are these decisions going to be really carrying some real consequences, right? Those are the things that will really make you take this approach much more differently and much more focused. Those are different things that you learn. It's just not just a learning for a leader, and it's a learning for everyone in the team. So that's a place where I'll say that it is different across each of these industry domains. But primarily, as I said, right, from over a period of time, it's just not being a problem solver. We have to become more an orchestrator and facilitator, and also looking at how you can coach and empower teams. So that way, teams will be able to tackle ambiguity, and then will be able to go and ask better questions, asking the why, and then always tying their work back to saying that, hey, this is the purpose for which we have been doing. So it'll become more purpose driven rather than just being an order taking, or saying that, oh, someone asked me to do and I got to do this. So that's the way I've seen evolving over a period of time.
But that's also more of a mindset. But in general, it also brings the cultural background and how one is brought up, and the kind of mindset they bring to the team. And again, with this generation being more faster, and probably they're more impatient. So how do you think you are able to handle the while it's more agile, and probably they wanted to do things quicker and faster, but the kind of patience probably we had to actually wait and see, it's not there. So how do you see that change, right? So how as a leader, you're able to handle that within the team, because where there is a mixed set of people, and today's generation is even more impatient, to see the outcome. They want the outcome sooner. So there is this phase of anxiety, and so I mean, I see that more often. And so how do you think you see collectively you're able to drive them to a common outcome?
Yeah. So I think, see, the main thing is, right, it is definitely moving from command and control to connecting and catalyzing, right? This generation is incredibly resourceful, right?
Yes.
And what they expect is the context, not just saying that instruction, saying that let's go, say in a data world, right? It's not about saying, oh, let's get this data ingested, right? Oh, let's go get these 50 tables ingested over here. So that's not the thing. They expect more context, right? What as leaders we have to do is need to give them the why, right? So then we have to trust them with the how. So it's not about that the way data was ingested even a few years ago versus how it is ingested now are completely different. So there are a
Yeah.
lot of different ways, right? And more important step is also to create a space for reverse mentoring. There are a lot of things that we can learn from our team members. Give that perspective, saying that I'm also here learning along with you on a few things. A lot of emerging techs, right? It's not about that we know everything, right? There are things that our teams will know, new ways of collaboration, and then different tools that can bring different ways, different approaches to bring work-life balance, right? All of these are the ones that we can definitely give that open space to say that, hey, we want to learn from you, and then make this a collective workspace. I think that's what is more important. So we're able to do that, and then if we create a culture of mutual respect, and then an opportunity for continuous learning, and then psychological safety. So I think that's what I've seen difference compared to what it was a few generations ago to now. And that's kind of approaches that I follow for bringing that cohesiveness within our teams.
Very true. I think it's a remarkable point you mentioned about reverse mentoring. I think not many are really open, right? I think that's one, probably I want to pick your mind on this, right? So there's always, so it is very easy said than done, right, when it comes to the real corporate setup. So it's always that how many are really open to do that reverse mentoring, and be honest to actually take that feedback, even if you're done something wrong, to accept it at that level, and then try to continuously correct and do that. So how, what is your opinion on it, right? So, I mean, do you think there is also that kind of coaching and mentoring required at the constant mentoring at the leadership level, because that's one area where I think not many, because always the mentoring and coaching and probably the continuous learning comes on the, it's more of a top down, and probably it's more focused on the middle management and also the developer community, but not on the top. But many companies are doing it, but it's the effectiveness of that. So how do you see that?
No, it's definitely changing, and I've seen that changing across different organizations. Right? So it's not always top down, right? So I've seen several organizations have skip level opportunities, and then there are 360 level feedback, and then there are different employee engagement surveys and things like that. There are different ways where it gives you a feel that it is always feedback is a two-way street, and that is more a culture that we have to create.
Right,
It's not
right,
about just
absolutely.
giving a path, but we should give that confidence, saying that your feedback is valued, and then give them that build that trust, saying that yep, you can give that feedback. So that's what will encourage more.
Also, the individual leader should be more open enough to actually
Yep.
look at more constructive than taking it more of a criticism, or probably, that's also a mindset which shift which
Yep.
has to come through. Yeah, that's a very, very important point. I think very, very well said, Gopal. I think I want to get your, this is on the feedback, right? So feedback um, is an important aspect of leadership. That again, both, as you said, reverse mentoring and also mentoring and providing the constant coaching. But feedback is different from the coaching and mentoring part of it. So how, so as a some of the feedback habits you have adopted over the years that helped grow you as a leader as well as the team. So maybe if you can share the tips and tricks you have adopted.
Yeah. So as I said, right, so feedback is always a two-way street, right? And then so what I've learned is feedback is not just about saying that, oh yeah, I'll wait for end of a quarter or 6 months, a year, and then give it. Feedback should be very specific. It has to be timely, and then it has to be actionable, right? So that has really helped me both in the terms of receiving as well as giving. And then important stuff is even these skip levels that I spoke about, right? So we always I've been a big fan of skip levels to have it's not just one or two levels. You should be open enough to even have open office hours in our calendar to say that people can reach out, right? You should be first vulnerable and approachable for people to come in, and then you have to
Right,
make
right.
that much more transparent, right? And as part of that, it is not just going and using those meetings to ask for status. We should definitely not do that. Rather, what we do is ask about, hey, what should we continue to do, right? Is there anything that we should stop doing, right? Is there anything that I'm not doing right now that you are expecting me to do, and should I start doing, right? Give them that opportunity to express their thoughts and take that feedback. And this will also be that it's not just you're just listening and hearing that, but you should be actioning on this feedback, even if it is very small, right? That will give a lot of credibility. The credibility will be built over a period of time. So one other thing is, people who ask for certain things and then give this feedback are not always not going to expect for perfection. It's about progress over perfection, right? But whatever that you do that genuinely, and show that care that you have, and then act on it. So that's what has been my core principle, and that has really helped me and our teams.
Yeah, I think absolutely. As you said, it's not a one-on-one or something which you do to actually get status, or you talk about the same work, what it's happening. That's
Yep.
going to probably derail the whole conversation around the feedback, because it's maybe, as you said, it's not just yet has to wait for the appraisal or probably the end of the quarter or the halfly or yearly. It has to be spontaneous and timely and consistent and probably actionable. As you say, I mean, it need not be about the status, but you can also look at how are they doing, like in a personal life, how more on showing that empathy and trying to understand how things are going in life, or and then, as you say, what we stop doing and what we can do differently. It's I think very very practical approach and very well said, Gopal. But I'm not sure many are really actively doing that, right? Because mostly the one-on-ones would become more of a status reporting and trying to understand what you did and what you have not done. That not really going in deeper level unless not, the leader is so matured and he is able to do that.
I've been fortunate to have a lot of my teams who are leaders have been doing
Yeah,
that, and then a lot of my peers and my leaders have also done that. So I've
right.
been fortunate enough to work with a lot
Yeah.
of mindset with people
I've
with.
had, yes, I've had some amazing mentors and supervisors too who has helped. I mean, throughout, like, including you. Yes. Um, so I mean, you've been a delivery head, and I've done in the program management. I mean, IT delivery, service delivery is more of a very very, I would say, even today I know that it is very less recognized function, I would say, right? Even with all the effort and potential and the amount of end-to-end orchestration and what I say, you do have to do a lot of different roles to run a program and then deliver it end-to-end, be it successful or probably whatever it takes to get that achieved. But there's a very 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 less recognized function. But again, it's changing with a lot of push across in terms of focused efforts. But how do you handle I mean, I want to really talk about this, right? It's not always the other side is always green, but there are situations where there are program fails and uh, the program managers or the delivery function takes the beating. So how have you handled those situations, and probably any such examples you want to bring up and talk about, right? So for people to take inspiration and see how they can handle in such happens.
Sure, sure. I mean, see, I'm sure we all have faced programs that did not go as planned, right? Sometimes they could be due to external factors. Sometimes it could even be our own blind spots, right? So one of the key projects I could remember is that there was a large data migration initiative, right? That ran into a major roadblock very late in the game. It was a very tough call. Should we just go ahead or what do we do and things like that? We took a step back and we said, you know what,
Hmm.
we have to really think about it and then make this decision. So and then we paused the rollout. Okay?
Okay.
We regrouped along with everyone in the client and everyone, and then first of all is to accept that we had an issue, right? We had a problem, and then also to say if we would have gone ahead with this, so what other problems that we would uh, end up tackling, right? So that's a place where we realign the roadmap rather than pushing something that is half baked, right? So what helped was keeping the communication transparent, right?
Hmm.
So and again, it is not about always keeping the communication to stakeholders, right? It's also very very important to share those communication and be transparent with the team as well. So the team are the ones who are making all of this happen. So that was another thing that we did. We communicated to everyone, stakeholders as well as downwards to the team. We created daily hurdles. I know daily stand-ups and agile practices are all definitely great things now. And this was several years ago that I'm talking about, where we said that okay, let's have a focused hurdle to tackle problems, and let's do that collaboratively. We don't have to hide something. For example, a data load was promised to be delivered in the morning, say around 11. If it's not going to happen, you know that at 9 o'clock, we can't just be keeping our fingers crossed and praying for that to complete. If we see that there's a possibility of not getting completed, it's better to go and let people know that it's not going to happen, and then why it's not happening, and what are we trying to do for avoiding this in future or anything, right? That's what was important. That communication was important, and then we did that, and we tracked those problems collaboratively every day, and then we recognized and supported supported people who were stretched very thin, right? That's another crucial thing. There are people who were stretched very thin, and then we had to go and get some additional support for them.
Right.
And the biggest lesson is that crisis doesn't build your culture; it reveals it. If your people trust each other,
Nice one.
yeah, that's very important, because our people, right? So when they trust each other and then they feel safe to flag an issue as early, then you can really turn setbacks into learning moments rather than playing blame games. So that's where the culture, and then bringing the transparency, and then saying that you can flag issues as early as you could, and then escalation is not a bad thing. It's always to see that how we can resolve. It's an opportunity to resolve rather than thinking that someone is blaming someone else. So I think that's these are a few things that has really helped us to come from a program where we really paused and then had a successful rollout. And really, everyone remembers how we rolled out rather than that we paused a rollout a few months before.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, there are different kinds of, memories you would have for different programs for sure. Of course, it's always a rocky road, right? It's not like it's so breeze breeze through the execution. Execution is always a challenge, right? But again,
Yes.
for various reasons. But I think kind of that's why there's a clear leader who's steering through that and pulling it through.
Mhm.
And I think I love that point what you said. Crisis, shows the culture of,
Mhm. Yep.
brings out the real culture, right? So
It
that's
will
true.
say, yep.
True. Very true. I love that. Okay, I think we've had enough points on the leadership and your perspective on that, but I think I should definitely deep dive into data and AI. So being a data person and a leader in the data space, so I should we should talk about data. So how from the traditional data warehousing kind of environment and development, I know we've seen to AI-led development, right? We've come a long way. So while every domain has its own constraints and probably challenges, but it's being in banking and financial insurance brings a challenge, or more extra cautious approach towards it, right? Because when you deal with data, which is more in the financial world, it while every data is today in today's world is important and the sensitive, but being in a domain where it is highly regulated. So what has been the major challenge from then to now, from a traditional data warehousing days to now, and handling data and project implementations, right? So how, whether it is can be with clients being more aware and probably today with technology, or with business involvement is has been less there and now. So what is how you what is your perspective, or take from a data warehousing base to Gen AI kind of a development, right? AI driven development.
Sure. Yeah. See, definitely a great question. Right? One constant challenge is balancing innovation with compliance. Right.
Mm,
So in insurance, right, it is about ensuring that our models or our warehouses were audit ready, and then it is explainable to regulators. Right?
yes.
In healthcare, the stakes are even much more personal, right? We are dealing with sensitive patient data where
Yep.
privacy, consent, ethics, those are
HIPAA.
all non-negotiable, right? And then what has really changed is the volume and velocity of data. So today we have a lot of data where you can manage unstructured data. You have real-time streams, and then there are AI-driven insights. While all of these are available, we have to be staying within strict guardrails, right? One thing I've really learned is you have to build trust, not just to keep the regulators happy, but also with the business teams, right? Bring them as early as in the game that you could, right? Show
Mm,
them the value, and then show them also the risk, right? And make them true partners in your data stewardship. So that's what will help us really balance all of this and then go a long way.
Yes, I think involving them through the journey, I think that's one thing which I've seen as a missing piece even today. I've seen that, a lot of times the legal and teams are involved only at the end, like fag end of the program, and which creates a lot of concern around, moving to the last milestone, or, putting into production. That becomes a major challenge, whether it's the GRC team. So it has, as you said, how do we have those planned out part of the, planning itself, and then involve them ahead of time. That's true.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and healthcare, you're saying stakes are always high in healthcare, and it's very personal too. And
Yes.
any breach is a bigger concern as well there. So you talked about volume and volume of data. So that do you think that's also a growing concern across the organization in terms of handling data? But there's too much of data available today with multiple forms, right? Again, with generative AI being the major, driver for collecting different forms of data, structured, unstructured, and it can be anything for that. But now that there's so much of technologies available to actually capture any sensor data, and what you're talking now to translate into as quick as possible. So how do you think we have to be cognizant of this fact in terms of regulations, and consider when we build products or deliver programs. So how do you think, because when there is so much of data, right? So I think trying to implement even a small POC, because tools, at least in this space, I don't think so. There's a lot of regulations that have come in place yet in terms of how the right use of data, the ethical use of AI, and the responsible use of AI is also a bigger concern. So how do you see that? I mean, what are the steps we have to take as a data leader to be more, cognizant of these facts and build out products which will not go into such issues?
Yeah. So first, from a volume and variety of data, right? So you would have heard this saying that when it comes to training our models, the more the merrier, right? So
Yeah.
it's good to have more from that perspective. But again, it should also be how much of quality that is there. So it's not just about what all are available, what all are relevant is also very important. So I think that's an aspect in terms of volume and velocity that we should definitely consider.
Okay. So, the relevancy of the data, and also the not just the volume, but the quality of the data is very important,
Yes,
because that's
quality of
always a challenge, which it's when it comes to right, because always there's the data anomalies or the inconsistencies is very a very big problem. So a lot of times it's just that everybody wants to do AI, but they don't have a proper MDM or probably even a data cataloging or classification in place to even use it. So that's a or even data quality to fix all the inconsistencies. So that's
yeah,
a bigger concern, I would say.
yeah.
And I mean, how is the agentic? So right now we moved from a traditional POCs to more of enterprise scale solutions in AI, right? So it's not no more a POC and trying to try out something out, because everybody is trying to drive more business outcomes. So with agentic AI in place, I think the common question I see is, okay, while I think this is a good uh, uh, approach, or probably it's a good solution in terms of handling multiple tasks with different agents are doing in parallelly and delivering value for the customer, but how we manage them, right? In once you create those agents and they're all acting in tandem in the environment, right? But handling that is a bigger question coming. So how do you see that, like okay, the maintenance of those agents, and do you see that's a bigger question coming up in
Yeah.
your world?
Yeah, see, definitely, right. Now, what excites me today is how AI is moving so closer to human experience, right?
Mm.
We are seeing a lot of big breakthroughs in conversational AI, like
AGI, yeah.
personalized recommendations and things like that. Right? But the human AI collaboration aspect is what excites me the most right now. moving beyond simple automation to more agentic AI systems. Right? That's what is exciting more. And instead of just AI doing repetitive tasks behind the scenes, we are now seeing these as intelligent agents, right? For example, it can even negotiate on your behalf, right? But always the important stuff is to have the human control, right? Human in the loop will always be there, even in that aspects. There are a lot of real-time examples from leveraging an agentic approach that can unlock different human capacity, right? It could be leveraged by a nurse or a physician assistant who is using an AI agent to handle prior auth, right?
Yeah.
Or yeah, so that way they can. It's not that they are not going to do anything. They're going to spend their time in much more meaningful time with patients rather than doing certain administrative work. Right? Or similarly, a revenue cycle team can use these agents to spot any complex denial patterns and then proactively resolve them, things like that, where it can really go and tie back to some part of flow within the overall patient life cycle, right? So and again, when you asked about agentic, right, for me the real inspiration is that the agentic AI is not just about replacing people. It's primarily about giving us better partners so that we can focus on uniquely human strengths like empathy, creativity, and nuanced judgment. Right?
Right.
That's where I feel where we can leverage that.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I think it's an exciting time for us to use. We Nobody would have anticipated like 10 years back. We would be able to do these things. Such quicker and also efficiently, and then somebody else is an agent is doing it for us. That's a very very powerful, impactful change which is happening. So yeah, as you see, I think definitely a lot of efficiency which we can bring in the patient care or even on any customer support as well, to see how we can help robotic and agentic approach. The only question I think I had, I think it keeps coming back, is that how much autonomous
Mm.
is good. So how far it can go, right, and do things on your behalf, and when is that the control has to be coming into. So that's a very very gray area at this point, in terms of how far, because it continuously keep learning, because it's a continuous learning loop. So
Yep.
you may be too late to stop it as well, once you put it into the system. So that's also one concern. How do you
Very
feel
good.
that?
Yeah, see, the thing is, it's not that you can just use AI for everything, and then that can just come and go and replace everything. Right? So there's always human in the loop. And the other important aspect is that, say, if you really look back, right, several years ago, we used to think that, oh yeah, AI will solve everything. Right? We quickly learned that. AI is it's only good as your data quality is,
Their
how
quality.
your data is governed,
Very
and then
nice, very well said. Yeah.
people's ability to interpret its output. So all of these are definitely there. So that's what will really tell you where to use and where actually not to use. So I definitely see AI as a tool that augments domain expertise, and it does not replace that expertise. Right? And primarily in regulated industries, right? Explainability and transparency, those matters as much as accuracy.
These days, right, I think there's a lot of questions happening, and we'll have to have that model externality as a very important topic to be discussed, because earlier I don't think so anybody cared about what happens on the background, and hey, as long as it's giving me the efficiency, or at least closer to what I'm expecting, I'm fine. But no, nowadays it's a very very at least in the last 6 to 7 years, I see that everybody's looking at the model explainability and maintenance, and how we are able to actually understand what's happening behind, right? It's not a black box anymore.
Yep, yep. Yeah, that's it. My perspective has evolved to always ask, can this AI be trusted? Right? Can it be explained
Mm.
to a non-technical audience?
Yep, yep.
Does it align to our values and accountability? So all of these, I know there's a lot more we can talk about, even being ethical and responsible, but all of these are very important.
I think in the insurance space, AI is often tied to operational efficiency, like faster underwriting, fraud detection, claims automation. But do you ever face moments where too much automation create trust or fairness concern, right? Which we talked about.
Mhm.
But have you seen any examples where okay, we've implemented it, but then later we decide, okay, hey, this is like a I don't think so. If it continues the same way, it may not be good for from an experience standpoint, or probably it may go wrong. So you have to cut it off. So have any such
Yeah, so definitely, right? So there are things even several years ago when I was in insurance, you have felt that, right? For example, there are times where automated fraud detection models, right?
Hmm.
So it was not even in production also. When we were in testing, there we were able to clearly see that there were a few that were flagged, which were unfair, right? There were models that we felt that it was primarily or it was amplified based on some bias and which was available or which was hidden in the historical data. So those are places where we said, you know what, maybe we should not use this. Even in
Hmm.
a test environment, it doesn't really feel
Exactly.
right. Right.
Hmm.
So the lesson was that human oversight can't be an afterthought, right? We have to build escalation paths, model monitoring, regular audit to ensure fairness, right? Automation should come with checks and balances, especially when there are decisions that are going to affect people's livelihoods, right? So those are very important. And the example that I gave is something that was several years ago where we had to stop that.
Okay. Okay. I think anomaly detection is still a problem. I think
Mhm.
you still get as a customer, you would agree to it, right?
Yeah, so this is it's evolving. A lot of improvements over a period of time, but still there are a lot more opportunities.
Yeah. Um, so I think my next question is from the early data warehousing to ML and now Gen AI. Like um, what filters do you use as a leader to separate hype from substance when evaluating AI tools? So that's that's a question I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and then it's always a hype versus reality, right? So there are a few things that I really ask about, right? Does it really solve a clearly defined problem? Right? Does it have the right data quality and governance to support it? Can our real users actually adopt it and trust it with ease, right?
Hmm.
So all of these are very important. So it's not just about building a fancy model that no one uses it and it just becomes
Hmm.
a shelware, right? There are a lot of places we have seen that. And even there was in my career at some point of time, we were even creating certain accelerators and things like that from an insurance standpoint. And then we felt that at some point it was really a shiny object, but we know that it might be used for a few weeks or months, but it'll become a shelware beyond a period of time, right? So that's why I always ask about it. Okay, it's better to start something small, some
Yes.
safe pilots, right? Have measurable outcomes before we scale too large, right? Um, and then what I do is I listen closely to our frontline teams, right? They will tell you very quickly whether this tool is going to help or not. We don't have to imagine their day in their job and then say that this is going to really be a game changer for them. It's very easy to just go and ask them and then say, is it going to make a difference or not? So those are few filters that I use to always make those calls.
Yeah, I think very valid point. Yes, it's always that. I think crossing that hurdle is a very tricky situation, right? I mean, once you've done that, it is good. Probably a lot of times, you always end up, burning your fingers after a while and deciding, oh, hey, probably I should have evaluated this probably 6 months back. So that's a constant thought. Every technology leader, or probably they have to keep going through.
Mhm.
um, other Do you remember a time where you're pushed back on adopting an AI solution? So even when it is popular, right? So I think while you mentioned briefly in terms of, yes, it's a shining object, but I think probably you will have to be very cautious about in just quick time it would become a shelfware. So give me some examples, or probably your a time where you push back even though the solution is probably popular.
Yeah. So there was a time where it was even like a build versus buy option. We were trying to build on our own, and then we were also trying to buy something that was available, right? And then there was always an more than a pressure. There was a feel to say, let's leverage AI for accelerating the claims processing in an auto insurance world. Right? And then that tool promised massive cost savings. Right? But after looking much more deeper, we realized that probably the training data was biased and the explainability was really weak, right? And we felt that this is really a risk and it'll be unfair, and it'll lead to certain claim denials, which are not fair. So that's a place where we said, you know what? No, we should not adopt this. We should push back. Right. So we did choose to hold off, and we said that we have to revisit this with a stronger data and controls. So sometimes to even say that not yet is the best thing for you to do for you and your business and your reputation as well. That's why responsible AI means knowing when not to implement, right? No matter what the hype is. So I know you also spoke about hype versus reality. So that's the place where it is not just to do just because of the peer pressure. So being responsible is more important rather than feeling a FOMO.
Excellent. I think it's a excellent point, right? I think we have to, yeah, it's always that pressure, right, which mounts. Okay, so everybody is doing this. Why not we? And we should not fall behind in terms of the technology advancement. So that's always that thought. But how do we look at the pros and cons and decide the right thing for the business? So that's a very, very conscious decision which you have to make. Yeah, I think very, very valid. I think you covered a brief on my next question on the responsible AI in your lens. So because it's a quite often overlooked ethical issue when it comes to AI in highly regulated domains, right? Because I know it's always this quick win, and how do we use this in our environment is always a lot of people are interested to bring it up, but a lot of times it's overlooked. A lot of ethical issues are or at what cost. So maybe I just wanted to get your um, perspective, right? Maybe a bit deeper. While you've covered a brief, but maybe and you're being in healthcare and being in insurance, and this could be a very, very predominant conversation you would have done a lot of times.
Yeah. So now I'll take an example on that. It's also one of the subtle but a critical issue is the data drift, right? The data that feeds our over a period of time, it does change, right? But the models, if they don't adapt transparently, whether it's insurance, healthcare, or any other industries, right? If the data starts reflecting new patterns, say it could be new demographics, or it could be changes in some disease prevalence, right? Or the model isn't retrained responsibly, you are going to introduce unintended bias, or harm without even realizing it.
Yeah.
So while bias is a
Vast topic.
yeah, it's a very vast topic, and then it'll definitely get there are definitely a lot of ways to address
Yeah,
bias. You can do grounding. A lot of there are ways to do all of those, but the thing is, main thing is that will drive if you feel that responsibility is something that you have to adopt.
I think it's more of having a strong policy around it, and it's a culture we should put as a. I think the leadership should strive for having that kind of an environment to actually talk about it and see what is really ethical and not ethical, and I mean, especially building some policies and governance around it is very, very important, right? So a lot of times it becomes more of that hype cycle. Okay, how do we adopt it? And then we fall prey for those.
That's correct. See, and again, another thing is right. While bias and fairness gets a lot of attention upfront, so ongoing monitoring and accountability for models in production is still overlooked, right?
Overlooked.
That's the other place where responsible AI is not just a one-time check, right? It's a
Very true.
continuous commitment. So it has to be as part of model monitoring even after things
True.
are in production.
No, it's an excellent point. Model maintenance, and of course, I think that's also an overlooked area too. Because after it's productionized, I think that I think a lot of times people don't look at what kind of biases or probably responsible AI. We have to constantly look at from the new patterns and what data it is actually consuming. True, true, very, very true. So I mean, if you have to define responsible AI in one term, like what would probably what would it be? And then has your definition changed over time?
Oh yeah, yes, definitely. Right. See, when I remember when I first heard about responsible AI, I was more thinking that that's more regulatory and compliance, right? Checking that our models are meeting regulatory needs and we are compliant, right? So that was the initial feel of that, right? So definitely that has changed over a period of time. And then today, I would definitely look at a uh, few thoughts about it, saying that it should include an intentional design, it should have accountable impact, it should be transparent operation, right? It's all about asking should we rather than can we, right? So there are a lot of things that can be done, should we be doing it? So that really ensures the explainability, right? It'll address bias, monitoring drift, keeping the human in the loop, and all of those are important. And then and most importantly, it means putting people at the center of every decision, right? In every industry, right? Whether it's regulated industry or others, right? These decisions are going to impact real lives and livelihoods. So definitely responsibility is there to put every decision in center of that.
Excellent. 100%. And I agree with you. To be and especially as you say, it's evolved, and our we have also evolved in terms of thought, thinking about what is responsible AI to be. So it is very, very important, and it should not be a second thought in terms of looking at no. That's the first priority when you actually build anything when it comes to AI solution. Right? I think my next question is, if you could design one AI use case, just one, that perfectly blends your experience from both insurance and healthcare, so what would it be and why?
Yeah, yeah. So that definitely an interesting and a fun one, right? So if I could design one, right? Maybe I'd focus on some proactive care orchestration, right? So that maybe using AI to identify patients who are at high risk of preventable hospitalization, right? Helping them navigate the system better. So the way I'll look at that is thinking of advanced risk stratification and insurance, combining that with a personalized care pathway for someone in healthcare. And then the goal would be not only to just predict risk, but also to connect people and to bring in right interventions, care managers, social
Yes.
services.
Yeah.
So different things before a costly health event could happen, costly in terms of several dimensions, right? So that's a use case, but it
Interesting
also,
one.
yeah, it'll build trust. It has great outcomes, and it primarily it'll treat people as whole human beings rather than just claims or encounters. So that's definitely one thing where I could think about blending our insurance and healthcare into one.
That's a nice one. I think I know it shows your human empathy and approach towards life. So I hope it something like that exists in future. I don't know whether in US with the kind of premium and insurance and copay what we, we get through.
Mm. No,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it'll be there.
hopefully yes. I think we all should work towards it. So,
Yeah.
so my next, before we go into the rapid fire segment, I want to pick your mind on this thought, Gopal. So I strongly believe in Ikigai. I mean, if you've seen even this Netflix documentary, which is about the blue zone and how where the centenarians live. So basically, even at an age of 100 and above, there are different places in the world where these blue zones are marked. So there's a book which was written by a prominent personality, and then and there is also a book called Ikigai, so which is more of how is your purpose in life. So I think even at that age, what I've seen is they get up and then they do gardening, or there is a 104-year-old person who just do hard striving and trying to help the community or do some work. So I think to look at people at that age doing something for the society and trying to drive some purpose in their life. So I think I strongly believe it's an important part of your existence to do something back or give back to the society and try to do something about constantly, right? So that's I keep telling people in terms of not just too bogged down about the current situation and on work and things will come and go, but you have your purpose. What is your ultimate purpose? So I think I wanted to hear from you your thoughts on your purpose and what you think is important and how everybody should be motivated, right? And then work towards that. So that's a very, very personal question.
Yeah, no, very good one, right? So it's a similar thing as I like this movie called Pay It Forward, right? So that's the thing that I look at as a purpose, right? So it's not just about that someone has created something for all of us that we are using today, right? It's really how we can be, even if it is minuscule, right? So how can we be
Right.
creating something and then leave it for others? So that's the purpose that I see. It's not just about we are here, we are enjoying this, and then moving on, but create something where others can leverage that from that benefit.
No, I think how a small effort which could touch even one or two lives during our existence, it's much more powerful than
Yeah,
not doing anything. So yes, absolutely. So I love that.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
And again, we even say this in connecting this to work as well. We used to say, right, someone who is just loading, ingesting data into a data lake, right? They're part of the value chain. Doesn't matter that it's someone using the data pipeline that you have built. So someone is using a predictive insight from a model. So, but you are part of the value chain, right? You are contributing to some piece of making that happen. So that's all is important. You don't have to be in the last mile. You are somewhere as part of the journey, but do that putting your heart into it, right? That's all I always feel. Anything and everything that I do, I put my heart into it, and that's the way you'll be able to connect to the purpose.
True. I think you're part of the journey. I think it's a very, very valid point and well said, right? So you are one cog in the wheel, and you continue to contribute. I think I remember this quote from Mahatma Gandhi too, right? Work for cause and not for applause.
Yeah,
Again, applause is of course it's going to be a byproduct. I mean, if you really continue to do your purpose driven effort, but that's not the only objective you have to work for. But I think you just continue your focus and deliver things. Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's true. Thanks, Gopal, for sharing that thought. With that, we'll get to the rapid fire segment. So my first question is this: first thing you check on your phone every morning?
My WhatsApp family group chat.
Okay, okay. Great. To keep a check on everyone, everything is going good. That's right. Uh, one AI tool or tech you can't live without right now.
182. It's
It's not just one.
less about, yeah, just one tool, right? So I mean, there are a lot of things, right? The AI
Yes,
integration is into everyday tools.
everything now. Yeah.
Yeah, whether it is the slides or documents or meetings, it's I think it's integrated today. You can't separate it out.
ChatGPT to Copilot to Google
Yeah,
Studio for Notebook
exactly.
LLM. So there's a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
just to
yeah. Well, one gadget is phone, which will have
yeah,
multiple AI tools that it
yeah,
can.
yeah.
So,
True, very true. I think everything is now becoming AI. Like WhatsApp too. Everywhere there is an AI component
exactly.
to it now. Yeah, it's hard to stay away from it.
Mhm.
And
Very
make
true.
some human connections like what we're doing now. Yes.
Mhm.
All right. Um, okay. I'm trying to take names, but again, it's not just to pick one, but Systech, Wipro, Zurich, Sama, or your current um, job most personally transformative chapter.
Hmm. So it's see the thing is, yeah, they all shaped me, right? They all shaped me to where I am, whether it is Systec or Wipro or where I worked in Zurich or Sama. So every organization shaped me, but my current role in healthcare definitely stands out
Hmm,
because there is a direct impact on
I
patient
know,
lives that makes every data decision feel much more meaningful.
right?
So that was a calling for me why I'm there in healthcare.
Okay, I anticipated that you would say that, but I think yes, of course, I know as a person, I've seen you are outside as well as I think sometimes I think I was talking to one of my friend, right, and Tim. So I was telling he also like he was in that path of moving into a new role, and I said probably it's just that he moved into an organization where the predominant of the revenue goes for charity. So he said,
Mm.
I chose that as a calling. I've been waiting for something like that for a long time. So I said, it's just probably the planet aligns sometimes the
Mhm.
right thing at the right time, or so yes. So I think I hope I'm happy that you're in a place where it's your calling and you're contributing directly to the to something more meaningful through data and AI. Which is your
Yep.
probably your first love, I guess. um, a leadership habit you swear by.
I'll say it's listening more than what we speak, right? And actually acting on what we hear.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, there are different levels of listening, right?
Yeah.
Um, a biggest myth people have about working in healthcare data.
Yeah. So, I had that personally. So this is not about all about compliance and risk, right? So it's actually fun, and then it's full of opportunities to improve lives, and if you do it responsibly.
True. An industry buzzword you'll love to retire forever.
Yeah, one thing I'll tell you, right? Let's say there are several things that we can think of for that, but one other thing I'll say is big data. So it's not about just big anymore, right? It's about the right data. It's the trusted data. It's the
Mm.
trusted data at the right moment. So I'll say big data is a word that I will
Yes.
definitely try to retire.
I think it's everyone is tired of hearing that. And I think you picked the right word. Uh, one book that changed how you think about data or leadership.
That's an easy one, I'll tell you. I really like Simon Sinek. So his book on Start with Why,
I will
that
why.
that definitely was a great thing. It reminded of great leadership and even data storytelling. Right? That's very important. It starts with the purpose and
What's
not
your why? Yeah.
not just like facts and figures. Right? So that's really good. And the way that he explains, even there's a book and there's also a short video where he explains about starting with the why. So that really changed on how I start thinking about data and leadership.
Yeah. No, I think I also love that book because when he released this book, he did a book club. So
Mm.
it's like an online book club those days. So I used to join like every time he just opens a chapter and he goes through like an hour and then he discusses about it in real time. So which was very, very powerful.
Yep.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of books and this is I think it's a nice pick. What keeps you grounded during high stress project phases?
See, those project stress will always be there, right? Main thing I always adopt is remembering the bigger mission, right? So just take a step back and then see what you are really doing. So look at that bigger picture, and that will at least help you that understand that you will feel that, oh, yeah, our work really impacts this purpose, and then that will help me push through the stress and then move forward.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think the stress. Again, I'm not really fan of that word stress for various reasons, because as you say, you are in healthcare, so you would say the real stress is with the actual doctors and the healthcare professionals who actually see the patients day to day, right? Not at all what we call stress in IT. That's a very abused term. Yeah, got it. Your guilty pleasure when you actually take a break.
Do a lot of things, but one thing as a group that we do is hosting a poker night with close friends. It is competitive, but it is also really fun. We talk a lot of stories at the table, and it's a good one. That's one thing that really makes me that I'm taking a break.
Yeah, I think you have the sense of feeling that, okay, I've really taken that break and I've utilized it. That's true. If not data leadership, what career would you be in today, right? That's very hypothetical question, but want your thoughts.
Yeah. See, I mean, I'd probably be in roles centered around data. It could be data architecture, modeling, or data quality. So those are areas where I'm really passionate about. So if not leadership, will still be somewhere around in this and data.
Yeah. So data is the new dynamite. So of course we have been in the data for a long time. So we've traveled with the dynamite and survived through this.
Yeah, it's a love that you create in data. So that
Yes,
yeah.
that's true. Yeah, I think now with the Gen AI and the way AI has actually created an impact, and everybody talks about data. Like those days, it's not a separate
Mm-hmm.
world anymore, right? Data insights and analytics or AI. It's now part of everything what you do.
Very true.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's all I had, Gopal. I think it was wonderful talking to you, and I'm so happy to host you and talk about and bring your journey and learn through this conversation as well. As always, you've been a great inspiration, and I'm happy to have known you through the professional journey.
Yeah, no, feeling is mutual, Naga. It's been great. Thanks for taking time and talking to me. And then, I've been seeing a lot of your videos that you've been doing this Caffélôgue, and then it's been amazing, right? Great insights from a lot of those sessions that I've learned, and I wish you good luck, and thanks for your service in sharing this knowledge to a larger community.
Thank you, Gopal, and have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. If you like this conversation, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for latest updates in my show, Caffélôgue with Naga. Thank you so much.